All right, what's good, everyone? Hope all is well. It's Fear.ing. It's currently July 14th, 2025, and we're here to teach SMT fill, also known as SMTF. This concept utilizes for value gaps slash imbalances. Now, in order to even understand this concept, there's a few videos that you should have gone through already, and that is time frame alignment, significant highs and lows, a public day QT video slash interview, and of course, it goes without saying, you should understand basic ICT. You need to understand the PD rays, and more specifically, you need to know what a fair value gap slash imbalance is. And most importantly, you have to understand how sequential SMT works, because in order to consider an SMTF valid, or for us to even look at it, we have to have sequential SMT supporting that. So there's two variations of an SMTF. The first variation of an SMTF is when one correlated asset, such as ES, creates an imbalance while another correlated asset does not, such as NQ or YM. That will look like this. As we can see, ES and Q both create a fair value gap while YM does not. Now, specifics. We are looking at the exact same candle, meaning the candle that was created all at the same time. So let's just imagine that this fair value gap was created specifically at 9 a.m. We'd be looking for 9 a.m., 9 a.m., 9 a.m. If there's no fair value gap on a YM here at 9 a.m., specifically the 9 a.m. candle, not some random fair value gap that you see at like 10 o'clock, 10:10, whenever, it has to be specifically at 9 a.m. If there's no fair value gap at 9 a.m. on YM, but there is on NQ and ES at 9 a.m., then that is a SMTF. Now, this variation personally I found to be the easiest to trade off of, and generally is regarded as a variation we want to focus on. We'll explain the reason for that as we get into variation 2. So variation 2 of an SMTF is when one correlated asset trades into its presented imbalance while the others do not trade into it. That would be if all three indices trade into it, ES does not trade into it, or my bad, if all three indices form a fair value gap all at the same time, however, only NQ, such as here, and YM trade into it, but ES does not. So all three fair value gaps, I believe this one specifically, because this example was specifically from today, this was like a 15-minute time frame, 3:30 a.m. fair value gap, and Q trades into it, YM traded into it immediately after it was formed, and ES never traded into it whatsoever. And as you can see, we perfectly held that and respected it and traded higher after we had tapped into it. This is a little bit more tricky to trade if you're trading it on a lower time frame. On a higher time frame, it is a good confluence for a high probability PD ray, but on a lower time frame, it's a little bit tricky, such as if you're looking for an entry in the 1 minute. It's a little bit tricky because you can't necessarily just enter off the fair value gap alone, just as you need to wait for the candle to close to actually confirm whether or not it is a SMTF. Nonetheless, this is overall what it is. Now, the most important aspect in regards to how we utilize it, we have to use the right time frame alignment, meaning these specific SMTFs are based off of when price had specific SMT. So this 5-minute SMTF on the left side for variation 1, we had 90-minute sequential SMT supporting it. Variation 2 over here, like I said, was on the 50-minute time frame, which means we had daily cycle sequential SMT to support it. Now, we look here. These are all the other examples. Microcycle, we look at a 1-minute SMTF. 90-minute, we look at a 5-minute SMTF. A daily cycle, we look at a 50-minute SMTF. Weekly, 1 hour. Monthly, 4 hour. Quarterly, 6 hour. Yearly, daily. Now, this is very, very important, because we are not going to see SMTFs be valid. We're not really going to see them hold that well if you're not properly utilizing the right time frame alignment. Meaning, if we have daily cycle sequential SMT, you can't necessarily expect a 5-minute SMTF to hold the same way that a 15-minute SMTF would hold. There's specific time frame alignments for a reason. Please, please, please stick to them until you collect your own data. There is some times where we can have, so for reference, we can have 90-minute sequential SMT at the lows. We already have, let's just say we have 3 stage at the lows. We have weekly, daily, 90-minute. We have, a 50-minute swing divergence, a 5-minute swing divergence. Potentially, then we could look for a 1-minute SMTF if we do have something like a 5-minute swing divergence, 15-minute swing divergence, because as we know, those are what validate a 1 minute time frame after we have daily cycle. So if we have daily cycle to a 15-minute swing divergence, then we can validate 1 minute, and you guys know how the rest goes. Of course, if you're watching this for the first time, then you may not be experienced enough with my model to understand that, but you will learn that more in depth later on. Anyways, I'm just trying to explain. Now getting into the example that we had showed today with variation 2. So in this example, we can see that on top of all the other confluences, for keep in mind, for those who are watching this video as I put this out, the higher time frame is extremely bullish, daily time frame is bullish. We are in a higher time frame daily market maker buy model. We going into every single week, every single month, we have overall been looking for longs, and we are completely focused on playing higher. As we can see here, we had daily cycle sequential SMT at the lows. From there, we expanded during London, leading up to New York Open. We open up. Since we had no strong manipulation prior to New York Open, we were expecting manipulation at New York Open. We got that. 9:30 opened up. We manipulate down into discount. We mitigate the 75% mark of the range. We tap into this 50-minute SMTF while holding 90-minute sequential SMT, and additionally, we had microcycle sequential SMT at the lows. And that overall is what constituted a reversal. The 50-minute SMTF alone does not constitute a reversal, but it is additional probability for which could cause a reversal. Nonetheless, we just want to show this, and overall you can see the reaction off of it. There's a lot more confluences than just daily cycle to a 50-minute SMTF. We had a lot more. Discount of the range, we were below true month open, below true day open. We had 90-minute microcycle, we had a 15-minute PSP swing divergence. We're testing this 15-minute CRSD order block. There was just so many confluences aligning together, but nonetheless, the 50-minute SMTF here did play a factor into what caused price to go higher. But specifically, what I am showing here is the use of time frame alignment. Daily cycle sequential. After that, after we displaced away from that daily cycle sequential, 15-minute SMTF formed when price had a 15-minute CISD, and that acted as a high probability PD array. Now, I want to show one more example from a trade I taken on a 1 minute time frame from the server. So as I talk here, I'm pulling that up. But as you can see here, I had taken a trade recently, or I guess not recently. Oh, it was at the beginning of the month, based off of a 1 minute SMTF. Now, was that the reason for my entry alone? No. But we had a weekly cycle sequential SMT, 90-minute sequential SMT, and microcycle sequential SMT. There's a lot of overall confluences for the trade, but specifically my entry was a 1 minute SMTF within OTE of the range. Now, you obviously can't tell that based off seeing one chart alone, but if you go back, go into the trade review channel, you will be able to see the trade breakdown for that trade, and you will actually understand where the SMTF was, and you'll see that video and it'll all make sense. But 1 minute SMTF within OTE of the range that acted as high probability continuation, and again, like I said, the logic behind it was posted in the review channel, so feel free to check that out before anything else. But otherwise, hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully you learned something. If there's any questions, just reach out and let me know. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys all in the next video.